Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Imbolc Replenish Retreat. I'm going to give people a chance to join in and also go ahead and get my audio started, make sure that I can see chat and hopefully see everything showing up the way it's supposed to. There's always a little bit of trepidation at the beginning of starting anything live about whether it's going to actually show up for people or not. So doing a little refresh and letting people find their way in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So it looks like I am showing up. Next thing to check is whether I can see any chat showing up. And then I did go ahead and get our, oh, yay, Jenny commented, and that means chat is showing up. Good to see you, Jenny. And I see Karen and Teal are both here as well. And Evelyn, glad to see you. Glad that you're here for our Imbolc celebration. So welcome to our final Replenish Retreat celebrating Imbolc. We have now completed a full Wheel of the Year with the Replenish book. We started these around the spring equinox with the publication of Replenish, and now we have come all the way around a full Wheel of the Year. So there's been 8 Replenish retreats, and fittingly, in this lovely full circle moment, we're closing the Replenish series as we also celebrate the publication of the Sacred Flame, a Bridget devotional. So it's this lovely little full circle, started with Replenish, ending with the Sacred Flame. And so thank you for taking some time to join me. I see that Colleen is here too, and Jody and Anita and Tammy and Jennifer. Oh, Jennifer's in the garden. That's great. Hecate Doe is here. Glad to see you. I already said hi to Karen and Teal, and let's see, Liz is here, Susan is here. So good to see all of you, and take a little bit of a sacred pause. I hope this retreat invites you to settle back down into the belly. That's what Imbolc means. So let's draw our attention back in from all the things that are going on, all these forces. I really feel like there's these forces that are trying to control, confine, constrict, crush. All those things are happening, and we can acknowledge that that is happening, and we can also call our attention back into the body, into the belly, root ourselves right here on this earth where we stand. So I hope this retreat will offer you a chance to root back down into the belly and into where you are, reclaiming your own attention and your own power. Oh, good. Karen Mack is here too. Glad to see you. Oh, Candy's here too. Glad to see you as well. So here we are, full Wheel of the Year complete. And I did want to remind you that there are companion printables. You don't have to worry about it if you don't have them. There are companion printables available to you on the Replenish Retreat homepage, which the link was posted a couple times, and I'll post it with the replay as well. But there's little companions to follow along with. But before we get any farther in, I'm going to invite you to take a nice deep breath. Hi, Bridget. Glad to see you. Take a nice deep breath and settle in to your body, into this time and this place. Hi, Leanne. Deep breath, letting the worry and the fear drift away and calling your spirit back into your body, into your place. Perhaps feeling your feet here on this earth, wherever you are. And then letting your attention wander out to what you can see in your own environment. It might be your house, things in your house. It might be an altar space. I have all my little crew of goddesses always set up. And I have my sweet Bridget prayer beads that Jenny made for me for a solstice present. And so I have those prayer beads handy at my fingertips. I also have a sweet little sleeping lady of Malta that Monette sent me. She actually got it on Malta, and so she's here to remind me to keep steeping in the dream time, to keep resting in the belly, not to rush forward into too much action, but to keep dreaming. And so I have those little tools here to support me, as well as my Word of the Year goddesses hanging out to hold some space for me today. And so whatever you have around you, whether it's objects that help connect you to your power, that help root you into your own power. I had an experience yesterday that I wrote a poem about, but we're always connected. We're always connected. I'll share the longer story later with the Goddess Magic patrons during a live, but we are always connected. There's always something. There's always this field of belonging, this current of the sacred that we can tap into and that we can lean into, this field of belonging. And that's represented sometimes by our physical objects, but also by our landscapes. So I see Karen has snow and black-tailed deer outside. For me, it is incredibly bright and sunny, and it is so warm that I got too hot in my sweatshirt when I was going on a walk this morning. It's really, really warm. Quite a contrast to all the ice and snow that we had a little earlier. The ice that we had at the beginning of December, or beginning of January, took all the way until yesterday to melt, and some parking lots still have big piles of ice in them, but it's 60 degrees here, maybe warmer, and just really warm and pleasant. So rooting yourself in your own landscape and what you can learn about from there. Okay, and so we're actually going to have an invocation from the first little red card, and it is this. Take a deep breath of the sweet wind. Let yourself be breathed by the holy. Plant your feet on this sacred earth. Feel how you are supported. Call your spirit back. Call your spirit back. Feel the fire that burns within you, creative and strong. Lay a hand against your heart and feel the wild truth that beats within you. Holy and powerful, you are full of magic. The universe herself dances in your cells. So when you start to feel small and powerless and like nothing makes a difference, remember the universe herself dances in your cells. You're not small, you're powerful. And I mean, we're a little small, but we're also powerful, and the universe herself dances in our cells. So keep coming back to that. Keep coming back to that sacred flame that burns within you, because that is your spark of the infinite. That's the spark of the goddess alive in your own life. Don't let it go out. That's your sacred flame right there. And the world needs your sacred flame. The world needs your sacred flame. So, okay. I wanted to also go ahead and share the reading from Replenish, because we're closing out our Replenish series. And I have to say, I really enjoy my own Replenish book, if I do say so myself. And I carry it around in a little bag, which I've showed you before. I carry it around a little bag with my little goddess cards, and I really check back in with it every day. I find that it offers me just what I promised, which is spots of time for reconnecting with the sacred in yourself. And so I rely on it really heavily. I go through it, and then when I get to the end, I just start over, and I find it personally very nourishing, and I hope it's nourishing to you too. So just because we're closing the series doesn't mean this book isn't still powerful. So here's the reading from day 64, which is where I am personally in the book right now. When you stop arguing with reality, when you stop trying to cure yourself of being human, conflict dissolves, peace descends, and vitality renews. You tap back in to feel that spark of infinite creation alight within you. You feel sacred ground beneath your feet. You feel the breath of grace fill your chest. You return again and again. You rise again and again. You begin again and again. Your life is holy now. And that's something that I repeat often. And you could look at it both ways. Holy as in W-H-O-L-L-Y, like holy, it's holy. And it's holy as in you're a breath, the holy, right here, right now. So your life is holy now. We don't have to wait to make things sacred. The sacred is here right now. The sacred is here right now. And we can be a voice of that and the hands of that in this world that needs the touch of the sacred. Hello, Dawn. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Okay. And I was going to say briefly, the arguing with reality. I've talked about that several times in the last couple of weeks, and I'm really for practically 20 years. And to stop arguing with reality doesn't mean that you don't act to change something that you find untenable. You still act to change something, but we don't resist what is here. Like, I'm not going to argue with the sun that's shining and say, oh, I wish the sun wasn't shining because I got too hot on my walk. Instead, the sun is shining. We don't argue with reality. Instead, we are fierce with reality. This is the reality that's here. Let us inhabit it. Let us embody it. And maybe we do need to act to change something about it, but we're not going to try to press it down and pretend it doesn't exist, because we are fierce with reality. And I really find it valuable to come back to the idea that we cannot cure ourselves of being human. We cannot have everything be smooth and easy all the time. We can't be perfect all the time. We can't get it all figured out, because we are human, and it's a gift to be human. To be a full color human on a wild and whirling earth is a gift. And sometimes it feels like we're not big enough, and yet it's a miracle to be here. It's a miracle to be here together. And so don't try to cure yourself of being human. Lean into it, revel in it, and cherish the fact that you're a miracle right here, right now, with magic in your hands and a sacred flame in your chest to light the way. Okay, another deep breath. I'm full of sacred fire today. And so now I'd like to move on over to our next little card, and this is our quote and question card. I like to have little quotes and questions. We do live community practices like this every week in the Goddess Magic community on Patreon, and I like to have a quote and question to kind of help shape and guide the week. And so this one I picked is from Sarah Robinson in the book Kitchen Witch, and it is about magic. Magic is ancient. The awareness of an unseen world beyond our day-to-day existence is something all cultures have recognized in some way. Like science and religion, magic can imbue us with a sense of hope, empowerment, and perhaps help us to understand a little better the wider world and universe we inhabit. Magic is also a distinct way of participating in one's life. And we talked 2 weeks ago about enchantment and like seeing the world through the eyes of enchantment, like it's a way of participating in the world and potentially influencing the direction in which we travel. Through every culture, magic has been used to seek and understand the past, present, and future, to protect from harm and to promote well-being. Magic is a rich broth of words, images, and associations that may dwell beyond or be hidden from scientific understanding. It can include crafts, skills, sets of practices that are infinitely malleable, that can be made into art, ceremony, and therapy, and is of course central to the world of fairy tales and practice of witches, ancient and modern. Magic is alive, and that's that classic, magic is alive and the goddess is afoot. The goddess is alive and magic is afoot, right? That's the classic statement. You see it on a little billboard image sometimes on social media. The goddess is alive and magic is afoot. And we have to keep coming back to that. So the journal question is, also inspired by the Kitchen Witch, is, what am I hungry for? What am I hungry for? I personally find myself hungry for connection and community and reaching out to reaffirm those threads of belonging. Because I think when we sit in our houses and we read too much news, we start to feel very isolated and small and alone. And when we step out and we see other people and we reach out our hands, we remember to keep holding our thread in the web. We remember to keep reaching out, and we remember that we're not alone. I also feel like, and I touched on that briefly, is that notion, and it was the notion, I feel like we all have this, there's a great field of belonging. There's this current of the sacred that surrounds us, and we can lean into it. We can relax into it. We can let it carry us. We can dip our toes in the water, or we can fully immerse into it. But there is a field of belonging, whether it's that spark of the infinite that was lit at the beginning of time herself, or it's the endless chain of DNA from the very first life that very first exists that's still alive in your body today. That is a field of belonging. That DNA chain, those sparks of the infinite, those pieces of the universe, the stardust in your bones, that's the field of belonging. That's all alive within us right now. And we can participate in it. We can be a part of it. We can fall into it. We can let it hold us. And I think we have to keep coming back to that and not feel isolated or alone or like we're the only person, or, yeah. So I wanted to share that thought with you. So what am I hungry for? What am I hungry for? And you can explore this in your journal later and really throughout the month. What are you hungry for? What are you hungry for? And what is in your broth of becoming? What's in your broth of becoming? And I have a little poem. I'm not going to share that poem right now, but I went to my writer's club yesterday, and we had a writing prompt about what if someone gave you, or you receive a box from a mysterious stranger on your porch. You receive a box from a mysterious stranger, and it's something that you've always wanted, but there's also going to be a cost associated with accepting the box. There's going to be a cost associated with it. And like you're going to have to give up something valuable in order to open the box of what you've always wanted. And I wrote the poem in the Writers Club, and I'll read it to Goddess Magic patrons later on. But basically what I came to conclude is that like we've all got this broth of becoming, and I found in my writing that I didn't need to open the box. I didn't need to open the box. And what I found was that the box opens by itself when we are content to not know. The box opens by itself when we're content to just wonder and to not know the answer. And so that's part of what's in my broth of becoming too, is being content with not knowing and feeling my way through. And then the affirmation that goes with this is, magic is alive in my life. Magic is alive in my life. The goddess is alive and magic is afoot. And I take long drinks of the holy. I take long drinks of the holy. And I would add, I say I would add, I added this already, but I would add an additional one since I wrote that, which is, I keep tending to my thread in the web. I keep tending to my thread in the web, and I trust in the field of belonging. I will let it hold and carry me, and I will contribute to it. I will contribute to that field of belonging. Okay. So a little pause. I know that was a lot, all at once, a little pause. And then continuing with our Imbolc theme, I wanted to talk briefly about taking care of ourselves in sync with the season. I wanted to talk about taking care of ourselves in sync with the season. That's part of what moving in along with a wheel of the year represents. And it is, we can take care of ourselves in sync with the season. That's why I always encourage you to tune into your landscape, to tune into your body, to be present with what is here right now. And so during this time of Imbolc, we are invited, so Imbolc means in the belly, and we are invited to be in the belly. And that can mean making decisions from in the belly. How does it land in our body? What do we feel in our bodies? What do we know in our gut? And taking action from that place of being in the belly. But it can also mean continuing to curl into the cave of winter, into the belly of darkness, and into this time still of quiet. We can nestle in the belly of becoming. So we can look at being in the belly in two ways. We can choose and act and create from that place in the belly, and we can also continue to curl in the belly, to nestle in the womb of darkness, in the cave of dreams. We can continue to do that. And the other thing that Imbolc invites us to do is we are invited to sense the seeds of promise in our lives, the seeds, the little embers of the sacred flame. We're invited to kindle the sacred flame. We're invited to nurture these seeds of promise and to begin to nourish them secretly in the deep, the dark, and the wise. There's the deep, the dark, and the wise, and we nurture those seeds of promise. Okay. So here we are, and I have a little other poem Yes, Candy, someone's gonna have to pry you out of the cave. Sometimes that's how it feels, but we need to be pried out of the cave. But I think if we can remember that we're nourishing something here, and when we're ready, we're gonna carry it out. We'll carry it out of the cave when it's ready to be planted, when it's ready to blaze, when it's ready to grow. We can carry it out of the cave. And this is the time, still nestled in the belly, where we let things take root to grow. And okay. So I had another poem to share. This one is from last year, when it was written when we were driving home from Dauphin Island, and there was a terrible snowstorm and we really had a challenging time getting home. It was a very dangerous drive. And I wrote this poem, this Imbolc poem, about that drive home and then the getting home. And so I wanted to share that with you today. Homecoming is especially sweet when you feared you might not make it. My usual agitation over cluttered counters and laundry piles and undone lists pale in comparison to the precious relief of being back in my place, safe and sound. There is an antler on the table when I arrive amidst the pile of mail, a note from my dad around one spike that says, "Welcome home, love the Ozarks." I do indeed love the Ozarks, this land of my blood and bone and heart and poems. I wake up just in time for the last bit of sunrise, a bright glow behind the cedar trees and mulberries. As I leaned against the rail to take a picture, a wild chorus of crows rises from the woods in front of me, and I feel a bright flare of gratitude and belonging. My rune of the day is the wheel, the rune of fate and fortune. To draw this rune in a balanced way, you have to start from the center and extend 3 equal curving spokes from there. If you start from the edge, you'll get lopsided and the wheel will be out of balance. As I always do, that this is how life is too. We must start from center, return from center, and act from center, or else our wheel will wobble off course. I light my candle and sit on my yoga mat looking into the trees. Imbolc brings an invitation into change, to step into the forge of transformation, to sink into the holy well of healing, to open ourselves up to an evolving path of growth and discovery. It is now that we remember we are our own seeds of promise. And while there is time yet to stay in the waiting place, biding our time and strengthening our resources so we have what we need to grow, soon we will feel the wheel urging us onward, the call to set forth becoming unmistakable and strong. Let us settle ourselves into center, nestle into trust and determination, and extend outward from here, feeling the sweet wind caress us and the fiery forge beckon us as we heed the summons to roll on, the path opening up before us as we move. The path opening up before us as we move. And that is how we come out of the cave of darkness where we're nurturing our sparks, is we start to hear that fiery forge of transformation beckon to us. We start to hear it beckon, and the path opens up before us as we move. Okay. I'm gonna have a little drink of my tea. I gotta fuel myself. This is my reishi mushroom tea. I like it. Okay. Thank you, Dawn. I'm glad you enjoy hearing them. That one seemed a little long. I was like, uh-oh, this is longer than I thought to get to my point. Okay. So, speaking of Imbolc mood, that brings me to our little purple poem card. And this is the mood. I feel like this is the mood. The beings, like Candy said, about wanting to still be in the cave and have to be pried out. This is what this is. I feel this one. Sometimes all I want to do is sit in the sun and listen to the waves. Sometimes all I want to do is lie on the earth, moss against my cheek and sunbeams on my shoulders. Sometimes all I want to do is listen to sea song or wind, oops, there's a mistake, to wind in the branches. Sometimes I feel all done producing or consuming or generating or creating or learning, and all I want to do is soak in the current of now, watching, listening, feeling, and being exactly where I am. No lessons, no insights, just the pure open heart of awareness bringing me home. And we need a balance. I think that's what Imbolc reminds us of too. We need a balance of action and renewal, of energy and expression and renewal. That's one of the things. We need both of those things. We need to create. We need to let that sacred fire burn. We need to take action and make change. And we need to curl up in the belly. We need to curl up in the belly and let that heart of awareness bring us back home. Okay. So a little bit to share now about the Sacred Flame. And this, I'm going to do a little series for our Goddess Magic patrons at on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/goddessmagic. And I have a little series there that I'm planning on Fridays to celebrate the Sacred Flame and to talk about the Sacred Flame as well as Kali, about rage, about renewal, about anger, about creativity, and all those things. So that's coming up on Fridays for the patrons. And then I am having a Sacred Flame book party that's open to everybody on February 21st at 7 o'clock Central Time. And I'll post the link again with the replay of this video, but that will be a book party to explore our own creativity. I'll have some journal prompts and some exploration. So we'll get back into the Sacred Flame book during that book party, but I wanted to touch on a few things from it now. Oh, Samantha, wondering how I stay so cheery. Well, part of the reason I'm cheery is because I'm sharing space with all of you, and I love the sacred work. I love doing the sacred work. I'm not always cheery. Sometimes I get, sometimes I weep, sometimes I rage, sometimes I am sad. But when I share space with you all, that sacred flame feels alive and well within me, and I have to keep coming back. I have to keep coming back home. I have to keep coming back to center, and I have to keep coming back to trust, and I have to keep coming back to my faith that the goddess is alive and magic is afoot, because otherwise I'm going to dissolve into a puddle of despair, and that helps no one and changes nothing. So dissolving into the puddle of despair helps no one and changes nothing. And the best I can do is keep tending to my thread in the web and keep offering what good I can offer, because that's what I can give into what feels like a tidal wave of opposition, a tidal wave of badness. Kind of what I can offer is to still keep offering what good I can offer, and that's a resistance. It's a resistance basically to the narrative of powerlessness and hopelessness and despair. To continue to offer our stubborn joys is to lift a small fist of resistance. To continue to be here is to lift a small fist of resistance. And so I wanted to talk briefly about the Sacred Flame because it really came from something that's been a tenet, and we're going a little longer. I think I set this up to be till 3:45. Usually we stop at 3:30, but I had these dual components, Replenish and Sacred Flame, and so I extended the time a little bit for this one. And so one of the things I wanted to share about it is Bridget's Grove has turned 11, February 1st. Bridget's Day is the birthday of Bridget's Grove as well. And one of the core elements that we always said from the very birth of Bridget's Grove was to follow the inspiration. Like, much of what we create is based on following the inspiration. Inspiration for colors, inspiration for goddess creations, inspirations for writing, inspiration for creating our rituals, for making our prayers, for doing our work. It's all about following the inspiration, which sometimes leads us into surprising territory. And that's part of, back to the how do you stay cheery, is because I keep following the inspiration. Like, I don't let it get squished. I don't let it go out. I keep following the inspiration. And so the Sacred Flame book was one of those things. So I actually wrote the poems for the prayers that are in here. I wrote those prayers 2 years ago during 30 Days of Goddess. Then they just sat in a little folder. I have so many thousands of things that sit in a little folder. They sit in a little folder, and I was walking on the beach, and it was sunset. Mark's hip was hurting, so he was inside, and I was walking alone on the beach, and it was January 4th, I think, and I said, I suddenly am walking into the sunset and I suddenly heard the sacred flame. Like, this is the Bridget devotional is the next book. And I walked back to the house, and literally 22 hours later, I had a proof copy ordered. Like, that's following the inspiration. Is I listened and I seized the flare of inspiration, and 22 hours later, I've never had a book turn around that fast. And it still needed a lot of work, but I still had a proof copy ordered 22 hours later, after like the seed of the idea like dropped into me on that walk. And it is, it's shaped all of my work. And so that's where that book came from too, is from that following the inspiration, from the seed of inspiration, which I think exists in all of us. That flame, that's Bridget's flame that we carry within us, is right there, and we can follow that inspiration. And so I ended up changing a whole bunch of stuff about the book after. So after I got it ready in the 22 hours, then I woke up the next morning, I thought the whole first chapter is wrong and it needs to be different. And so I redid the whole thing. And then, I guess only about 2 weeks ago, I suddenly thought, I want to put these journal prompts and these affirmations into each thing. So the original file was already submitted. This copy that I have right here doesn't have the journal prompts at the bottoms of the pages that you will find in your real books when you get them, because I suddenly followed that wild flare of inspiration and added all that at the very last minute. I was down to, I think I had 1 day and 7 hours left to make changes before they would lock the file and I couldn't make any more changes. So I had 1 day and 7 hours left, and I was adding those affirmations to the bottom. So that sounds a little like a tight turnaround, but that was following the inspiration. It's a wild flash. It's a wild spark of creativity, and you follow it and magic happens. So that's where that book came from. And so I wanted to share a little section from the book with you, since this is the Sacred Flame Replenish Retreat plus Sacred Flame book party, or pre-party. Let's call it a pre-party, since I'm still waiting for the books to come. And I really am excited, Dawn, about the journal prompts and the affirmations. I thought it was so perfect for this book in particular, that I'm really happy that I was there at the 21 day and 7 hours. I think I actually got down to 23 hours at one point. I was glad I followed it. I was glad I hung on and followed it, because it was, it'll make it it makes it kind of like a full-fledged experience in one tiny little book. And I feel like that's important. So I wanted to read a little section to you from that book about lineage. And it is this: we share a lineage with flame keepers and grove tenders, those who built temples, tended hearths, and carried children across continents. We belong to those whose brows shone with crescent moons, who gathered in secret spaces to keep magic alive. We come from those who kept altars and raised stone circles, who steeped tinctures of trust and time, who sent songs rippling across the oceans. We listen to the echoes of the symbol seekers and trust keepers, pattern weavers and myth makers, those who made art and stories and kept faith beating in the human breast. We come from the cauldron, from the forest and the shore. We come from moonlight and moor wind, pine needles and promises. We are pathwalkers and wayfinders, and we're still here, feet on the earth, arms open to the moon, moving along the spiral of time's unfolding story. We're still here, and that is how we know that we still have power, and that the goddess is alive and magic is afoot, because we're still here, lifting those small fists of resistance and refusing to surrender our joy or our creativity, refusing to surrender our joy or our creativity. That is the fist of resistance that we raise, We're still here. We're still here. Okay. Maybe I need some more tea. So briefly, since we're honoring Imbolc, the Sacred Flame, Bridget, I wanted to share a little tiny section from this Goddess Days book. This was a gift from a friend of mine, very important friend of mine, Daily Nourishment for Woman Spirit, Goddess Days. You can find, it came in a little kit. You can find the book by itself online pretty easily, but not with the little kit, and that's okay. And so I wanted to share the Bridget section from the Goddess Days book. The book it's 365 days of reading, each about a different goddess. So there's one for Kali, which you'll hear in a couple of days, and when I do another ritual video. But I want to, and the only thing that bothers me is it doesn't have any index or page numbers. So if you're looking for a specific goddess, you have to look through like 300 pages and be like, there she is, finally. So anyway, if I have one critique, it's that. But the Bridget section is good, and I wanted to share that with you. And the reminder from this one is bright blessings easily flow into your life. So maybe just allow ourselves a minute to be open to bright blessings. Even if things feel dark and hopeless, maybe there are still some bright blessings that are flowing into our lives easily. And so, as we already know, Bridget, the bright one, Lady of the Flame, Celtic triple wonder worker, she's the Celtic goddess of poetry, medicine, inspiration, art, and smithcraft. And then, this was new to me, new in this book, Bridget invented whistling as a secret signal to call to her friends in times of need. She's often seen carrying a cauldron, representing her divine powers of creation and transformation. When invoking Bridget, first light a candle. So we'll definitely, when we do the Sacred Flame celebration book party, definitely bring a candle, because we'll want to light our candles for Bridget. Candles are such a tangible symbol of Bridget's light in our own lives. And then this person suggests placing a chair opposite your own. So you light the candle, place a chair opposite from you, and invite Bridget in. Invite Bridget in to join you in that chair. And then whistle as you exhale. Whistle as you exhale. And then you can share your concerns with her by asking 3 questions. And so coming back to that Imbolc being in the belly, the suggestion is that you let the questions rise up from the belly, like let the questions emanate from the deepest part of your being, and ask what you need to know. The book is Goddess Days, and it is 365 Meditations by Nancy Blair, and there's 365 days worth of goddess meditations in there. And so ask the questions from the belly, let the questions come up from the belly, and then notice through the rest of the day, notice any unexpected or coincidental events, go with your hunches, and if you lose your way, just give a whistle and wait for Bridget's fiery warmth to bring you back to your center. The seeds of imagination are vibrating with quiet expectancy. Hold nothing in. Create a sacred space with every breath, and let every exhalation kindle a desire. Create a sacred space with every breath. And I say that sometimes too, like the goddess, the sacred, the holy, it's as close as our next breath, as our pulse right below the skin. Those things are right here. They're right here. The pulse of the sacred is right here. And so an affirmation from this book: I use my imagination to brightly enrich my life. I make room for unexpected, joyful surprises. I make room for unexpected, joyful surprises. Okay, so we're getting close to our time, and I'm going to share a tiny bit more. One from, let's see. I think we're going to go ahead and go with this little purple card. And this one you'll also recognize from the snapshot cards for 30 Days of Goddess this month, but it's on a little purple card for you too. And so this is kind of our closing thought for this week's or this month's Replenish retreat, is a kind of a closing invitation, so to speak, a closing invitation. Notice what inspires you. Follow it. And that really will change your life. Following the inspiration will change your life. Sometimes it can run away with you a little bit and make you feel a little, but following the inspiration will change your life. Notice what inspires you. Follow it. Notice what brings you joy. Trust it. Notice what opens space around your heart. Lean into it. Notice what makes you feel small and closed. Set it down. Notice what delights and encourages you. Honor it. Notice what depletes you. Let it rest. Notice what makes you feel connected. Practice it. Notice what makes you feel alive with magic. Live it. Notice what makes you feel alive with magic. Live it. Okay. So taking another deep breath, resettling back into your body, feet on the earth, eyes on the sky, feeling that sacred flame that burns within you, irrepressible and wild, right here, right now, the pulse of the sacred in your very own bones, in your very own skin, in your very own being, right here, right now. And then we're going to go ahead and close today's retreat with the Bridget invocation from the New Sacred Flame book. So honoring and thanking the Replenish book, which I will continue to use, and thanking you for taking part in all of these experiences. I'll see if I can find the book link. I can't really talk about it right now because I'm trying to do the retreat. But I see that there's some questions about that the book that I referenced, the Goddess Days book. So I'll poke around and see what I can find. It was part of a little kit, and then anyway, it was available last time I checked, so I'll poke around and see what happens. Hi, Wendy. Glad you're here for a little bit. A snowshoe hike sounds delightful in the woods. So, okay, but going ahead and settling in and honoring the gifts and the lessons of this retreat, these experiences, the things that we share, the web of connection that we weave, the sacred flames we keep burning, the fists of resistance that we keep raising, the stubborn joys that we will not let go out. And the first poem from the Sacred Flame Devotional. Bridget, fiery one, you cast your cloak of healing across the land. Ember keeper, promise tender, lady of the forge, creator of transformation, light of inspiration, we honor you as she who coaxes green ones from the seed, who begins to turn the earth. We listen for you in sunrise and birdsong, in bluebirds' arrival across the horizon, geese call above the trees, and in the sharp fine points of lilies beginning to rise from the damp earth. We feel you in the ember glow of purpose. We feel kindle in our chests, the hot and holy desire that feeds and fuels us and guides our way forward. We have gathered and protected our dream seeds with fierce determination through long nights in the cold. And now we extend them before you, shining one, that they might feel your warmth and know that they have within them what they need, that which they need to grow, beautiful, determined, and strong. Bridget, heart healer, life mender, we honor you today as we make our promises to this sacred work. As we make our promises to this sacred work. So thank you so much for being here. Happy Imbolc. Keep rooting yourself in the land. Keep rooting yourself in the land. Keep rooting yourself in the belly. Keep lifting your small fist of resistance. Thank you so much for being here. And if anybody who's not a member already of the Goddess Magic community on Patreon, we do community practices like this every Monday live in that group. So feel free to come on over to patreon.com/goddessmagic to join us. Most of you here today are already members of that community, and I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for making these types of events possible. So thank you, Wendy and Karen and Janetta and Jenny and Melissa and Leanne and Dawn. Thank you so much. And Tammy, thank you so much for sharing space with me today, for being part of our complete Wheel of the Year with the Replenish book. Happy Imbolc, and thank you, Hecate Jo. Keep living your magic, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye, Colleen.